My husband and I have been married for a little over 2 years now, and we have a 1-year-old. We've been together for 3 years before marriage. We met when I lived in his country and hit it off. When my visa expired and I had to go home, he came with me. My mom let us stay in her home. However, we were paying her $1,200 per month rent, and I paid some bills for her. Her boyfriend's mortgage for that house was around $2,000. Fast forward to 6 months later, my mom decided that she wanted to sell her home to upgrade to a new build that cost $750,000. She doesn't earn nearly enough to afford that kind of house. And besides, my husband, boyfriend at the time, offered to finish her basement and fix the house to her liking. She wanted none of it. She wanted to sell and move into that big new house, which she did. While she was doing this, she repeatedly asked me to co-sign with her and move with her to that house. I refused and said if she goes for that house, I will not be helping. Even mortgage brokers told her not to, and even offered to give her a new mortgage rate. The interest rates were very low at the time, so the mortgage would have reduced. But she still went ahead with the house. My husband and I got married, and as mentioned, we moved elsewhere because we wanted nothing to do with her lavish spending on that house. Her boyfriend owns a few properties, and he offered us to live in one of them. We even made a deal that once we get everything together, we will buy the place off of him. So we lived there, we paid rent, we had our baby. Life was good. However, there was still a control aspect. Because we were family, they felt entitled to do whatever they want, such as criticize the state of the house. It wasn't dirty, and raise the rent from $1,600 to $2,500 when I was days postpartum. My mom was behind all of it. Her boyfriend has no backbone. Not to be rude, the house was not worth $2,500 in rent in our opinion. So we gave notice that we would move elsewhere. He also never had any intention of selling to us. I know this because one day a realtor texted me advising me that he had put the house up for sale. He couldn't even call us to tell us. He sent some stranger to tell us. My mom offered us to move back to her place, and we can pay $2,000 all included. My husband refused. He states that he's married and with a family, we both have stable jobs, income, and good credit. So we are more than able to get our own place. My mom, on the other hand, stated that we're not ready. We don't have enough money. We're bad with money. And that we're heartless for giving $2,500 to some stranger when that money can be going to help her. She said we can move in for 2 years to help out. Then we can find another place once she retires and puts her house up for sale. She said that would give us time to save money. My husband still refused. She then cried and said, "We've abandoned her in her time of need. Her mortgage is $3,500, which she splits with her boyfriend. Not to mention all that comes with owning a home." She also called my husband ungrateful because she took him in. And now that he had a job and permanent residency in the country, he's willing to disregard where he came from and who helped him. Again, we were paying to stay there, and he offered to fix up her home, and she refused. I'm torn. My husband is right. We should have a family home to ourselves, especially for our young son. However, I do feel bad when my mom cries and claims we've abandoned her in her time of need. She's been helping us a lot with watching our son, since daycare is hard to find, and she mentioned how she's sacrificing her work and social life to stay with the baby, because that's what family does. So for us to not help her is just her logic. It's been causing a rift in my marriage. My husband has never been one to get angry, but now he's always angry, and I hate it. Any advice helps. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Advice a therapist gave me about a relationship. You can't tell if you want to be in it if you aren't able to stand on your own outside of it. Sounds like your mother doesn't want to let you be outside of being a dependent. Your husband's being smart and aware. Don't let him be angry and have it carried to you. Find a place you can afford and live your life. If your mother actually cares about a relationship with you, she will look for one, and not one that depends on you helping foot her bills. If babysitting or childcare is dependent on that, as hard as it is, it's better to get it elsewhere if she's not wanting to do that without a toll on your end. Comment 2. If you want to get divorced, press your husband to move in with your mother. If you want to keep your family intact, find somewhere else to live. Your mother's used to controlling you and using tears, guilt, and manipulation to press all your buttons and compel you to bend to her will. Not only would moving in with your mother destroy your marriage, but it would represent a psychological and mental setback for you. You need distance from your mother for your own growth and mental and emotional health. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. Just when I thought we were getting a handle on things, my husband lost his job. It was unexpected and it hit us hard. We had some savings, but not enough to cover all our expenses for an extended period. The timing couldn't have been worse. We were already stressed about finding a new place to live, and now this. My mom, of course, saw this as an opportunity. She swooped in, offering us to move back in with her, saying it would be a temporary solution until we got back on our feet. My husband was against it, but with the job loss, he reluctantly agreed. We moved back into my mom's place, paying her the $2,000 she asked for, which included everything. But here's where I messed up. I didn't tell my husband that my mom wanted the money up front for the entire 2 years. She said it was to secure our stay and help her with her mortgage. I thought we could manage it with our savings and my income, but I was wrong. When my husband found out, he was furious. He felt betrayed that I had made such a significant financial decision without consulting him. The tension at home was unbearable. My mom kept making snide remarks about how we couldn't survive without her help, and my husband was constantly on edge. It was like walking on a minefield every day. Our marriage was strained, and I could see the resentment building up in my husband's eyes. In the midst of all this, my mom's boyfriend decided to sell another one of his properties, which we had our eye on as a potential home for us. He sold it without even giving us a chance to make an offer. It was a blow, especially since we had discussed it with him before. It felt like he never took us seriously. Then, one day, I came home to find my husband packing our things. He had found a small apartment that was within our budget, even with just my income. He said he couldn't take it anymore, the control, the manipulation, the constant undermining of our independence. He was ready to move out, with or without me. I was torn. My mom had helped us by watching our son and providing a roof over our heads. But at what cost? Our dignity? Our marriage? I realized that my husband's resolve to stand on our own was what I admired most about him. It was one of the reasons I fell in love with him. So, I made a choice. I chose my husband and our son over the toxic environment we were living in. We moved into the apartment, and it was tough at first. We had to cut back on a lot of expenses, and I took on extra work to make ends meet. But it was worth it. The peace and quiet, the sense of freedom, it was like a weight had been lifted off our shoulders. As for my mom, she was upset to say the least. She accused us of being ungrateful and selfish, but I had to stand my ground. I had to put my family, my husband and son, first. It's been a couple of weeks since we moved into our new place. My husband is still looking for work, but we're managing. We're a team and we're getting through this together. It's not easy, but I know we made the right decision. Thanks for reading. My wife keeps hanging out with her ex-flings, despite my discomfort. So I take a break, and she learns the hard way that marriage means respect and boundaries. So myself, 34-year-old male, and my wife, 30-year-old female, have been together for 5 years, married for 2 of those years. We have an amazing marriage, never once had to suspect each other of anything. Our trust is absolute, so this issue is more related to my personal discomfort above all. I know everyone has a past. I know I've had a past. I know she's had a past. We've both had prior relationships and prior casual encounters, so I'm not judgmental. Everyone has a past. She has a wide circle of friends. She's very active on social media. She texts a lot of them often, lots of guys and girls. Lots of them she's known back from her high school and university days before we got married. These 2 guy friends in particular are also the same age as her. I've met them plenty of times. Nice guys, handsome, never thought anything of it. As far as I knew, they were just friends of hers. She doesn't particularly talk to them more than other friends or anything. The other day, she was at home chatting with them on Instagram. I sort of looked over her shoulder because she was giggling. They were basically commenting on a photo she'd posted of me and her on a night out recently, where she was dressed quite attractively. The guy was basically like, that takes me back, and some other similar comments. Don't remember the exact words. I was like, what does he mean? She was like, oh, we used to have a thing in the past. I asked her to explain, and she was basically like this guy, and her used to have a casual thing back right before me, and her started dating. I was like, what? I never knew this. Apparently her and this guy and the other guy were all roommates for a while, and she was friends with benefits with both of them while she was roommates with them. And this continued after she moved out. Apparently the relationship continued up until me and her started dating, which is when it stopped. I know, of course, she's had past boyfriends and past casual encounters, but this is the first time I've heard these two guys were friends with benefits with her, and apparently for a long time while they were living together. To be honest, I was not okay with it. I told her I'm not okay with her still being friends with them and chatting and laughing with them. It's weird being friends with people you've had intimacy with when you're in a marriage. I'm not friends with any of my exes. She said they're not really exes. She never loved them or had a romantic relationship or feelings for them. They were just two guy friends that were all living together that she fooled around with just for fun. And it was a long time ago. The whole thing escalated into an argument. And now I'm mad because she won't respect my demands or my feelings regarding the subject. I pretty much put my foot down and demanded she cut them out of her life, and she refused. I don't feel threatened by them. I just don't think it's appropriate for her to be friends with them. And it crosses my personal boundaries. What should we do here? Am I being completely unreasonable, or am I justified in feeling uncomfortable with this? Should she at least consider my request to end the friendship with them? I don't like the idea of her being friends with two guys she had friends with, benefits with. Edit. Feeling depressed and angry at the moment, to be honest. DMs are open if anyone wants to offer advice or just chat. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I am all for being friends with your ex-partners and/or hookups. The thing is, it takes complete open and honest communication to make it work. She clearly wasn't open about this. You are married, and she never once felt like warning you that this could come up. You could have found out in several ways that would have put you in awkward situations. Your wife showed you that little concern. So honestly, if your request is that she cut off personal communication with them, I would 100% support that. I wouldn't think you're wrong at all. However, if you set that boundary, be prepared. You have to actually uphold your boundaries even when she begins gaslighting you, and that other side of her comes out, which it will. You may think it won't, but it will. Comment 2. This is why past relationships matter to me. Yeah, everyone has a past, but nowadays, thanks to social media, people tend to hang on to their past. Not sure what OP can do, but everyone else who has similar boundaries, make sure to dig into your partner's past unless you're okay with them communicating with their exes or friends with benefits. It's not common sense because people don't care for boundaries. Ask them about their encounters and whether or not they still keep in touch. Nothing to do with trust, but rather drawing boundaries. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the whole mess with my wife and her two guy friends, it got worse. Way worse. Just when I thought we could maybe work through it, one of the guys, let's call him Mr. Charming, decided to throw a party. And guess who was on the top of the invite list? My wife, of course. She wanted to go, said it would be weird if she didn't since they were all old friends. I was fuming, but she went anyway, promising it was just a harmless get-together. Turns out, it was anything but harmless. At the party, Mr. Charming got a bit too cozy with my wife and someone snapped a photo. The next thing I know, it's all over social media. Him with his arm around her, both laughing like there's no tomorrow. It was like a slap in the face. I confronted her and she said it was just a friendly hug, nothing more. But the damage was done. The trust I thought was unbreakable, cracked. Then, as if the universe hadn't had enough fun at my expense, the other guy, Mr. Smooth, dropped a bomb. He was moving to our city for a new job, and he wanted to catch up with my wife one-on-one. She was all for it, said it was just old friends reuniting. But after the party fiasco, I saw red. I told her it was him or me. She called me controlling, said I was overreacting. We had a blow-up like never before. In the heat of it all, she admitted that she missed the freedom of her single days, the excitement. That stung. It was like admitting I wasn't enough. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry. I couldn't look at her the same way. I needed space, so I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's place to clear my head. While I was gone, Mr. Smooth's welcome to the city bash happened. My wife went despite everything. I heard from mutual friends that she got a bit too tipsy and ended up in a heated argument with Mr. Smooth about boundaries and respect. Apparently, she defended our marriage, said she'd gone too far, and that she needed to respect my feelings more. Hearing that was a cold comfort. It didn't erase the hurt, but it was something. I came back home after a few days, and we had a long, hard talk. She apologized, said she never meant to hurt me, that she got caught up in nostalgia and didn't realize how it affected me. She agreed to set boundaries with her friends. For our marriage's sake, it was a start, but the trust, it's going to take time to rebuild. Thanks for reading this far. My fiancé tried to keep me from an art expo to avoid his ex. But when she spilled a drink on me and caused a scene, I made sure she regretted every lie by cutting off all her believers and having the last laugh with a wedding she couldn't ruin. My fiancé and I will be getting married very soon after being together for 4 years. A few months ago, he bought tickets to an art expo I didn't even know about and said it would be the weekend before we got married. He said he wanted me to come and that some of our friends would be going, and it would be cute as it would be our last outing before the wedding. A few weeks ago, he asked if I still was down to go to the event. I said yes, of course, and said I was looking forward to seeing our friends. He mentioned he didn't think I would like the artists being shown because their art was more conceptual and loud, and said he knew I preferred a different style. I reiterated that I still wanted to go. Even if I didn't love the art, I wanted to see our friends, and it was still a social event. He brought it up again this past weekend. He said, "Are you still coming to the expo? I mean, I have a ticket, but you should make sure you really want to because I know it's not your scene." I started to feel a bit doubtful as to why he was pressing it. I asked him straight out why he bought me a ticket and asked me initially if he was so sure I wasn't going to enjoy it. He said he didn't want me to feel left out, but then backtracked and said he did want me there. He just wanted to make sure. He kept mentioning how maybe I wanted to do a girls' night or something for the wedding. I have already told him throughout the engagement year that I didn't want any wedding party or bachelorette. It is a small wedding of 60 people, and we are fairly low-key. I became suspicious after that convo. The only reason I could think of is that someone would be there that he didn't want me to run into. And the only person I can think of that also likes that type of art is his ex-fling, Maya. I checked her social media, and sure enough, I saw she is planning to be there. She posted a flyer for the event a few weeks ago, around the time he first asked if I was sure I wanted to go. Some background here. Maya was a fling he had before me, and after his last real girlfriend. When we began dating, he deleted her from all his socials because she kept trying to message him. When we went to art shows and she was there, she tried to approach him a few times before she got the hint and stopped. We have had some fights about her before, mainly why he was hiding some details about their situationship. I also found lingerie that used to be hers once in his closet when we first started dating that caused a big argument. I am feeling very upset about the event in general and feeling like I'm not welcome, despite it being his idea to invite me and get tickets. How should I go about discussing this with him? Should I bring up Maya being there and ask him bluntly if that's why he doesn't seem to want me to go anymore? The last thing I want is to go into the week of my wedding being resentful and upset about this. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. A long time ago, I had a similar situation, but I was a dumb playboy who was 19 years old. Anyway, the girl I dated for 5 years on and off wanted to see me, but I had a problem. I had a girlfriend. I was honest and told her that my ex was coming over to see me, and that we would go to a movie and eat, and then come back to my apartment. I told her nothing would happen, and that I would call her once she left. My girlfriend said, "No, you won't call me. I will be there. If she wants to come see you, then she gets to meet me." As a 19-year-old, this annoyed me. Once I grew up, I realized that she was 100% right. Tell your fiancé that you're going, and there is no argument for you not to go. If he doesn't like it, then there doesn't need to be a wedding. He will realize you're right real freaking quick. Comment 2. You guys need to address this. If you can't, you shouldn't be getting married. Sit him down and lay things out on the table. Communicate your concerns like you're the partners you're supposed to be. It's bothering me that you're suddenly trying to stop me from going to the event. I found out that Maya is supposed to be there, someone I've had issues with before. This, combined with your sudden change in behavior and lack of openness, is making me feel concerned, and then stop there and wait for him to answer. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So the Art Expo drama took a turn for the worse. I decided to confront my fiancé about Maya, and guess what? He admitted he knew she'd be there and didn't want an awkward scene. He said he was trying to protect me from any drama before our wedding. But come on, who does he think he's fooling? I was fuming, but I kept my cool and told him I'd go to the expo regardless. I wanted to show I wasn't intimidated by his past or some ex-fling. The day of the expo, I dolled up and went with him. Everything was fine until Maya showed up and all smiles and hellos, acting like she was just an old friend bumping into us. My fiancé was polite but distant, and I played it cool. But then, she pulled a move straight out of a soap opera. She accidentally spilled her drink on me. It was so obvious and petty, I couldn't believe it. I excused myself to clean up, and when I came back, I caught them in a heated conversation. He was telling her to back off and that he was with me now. She was playing the victim, saying she just wanted closure. I had enough. I pulled him aside and told him it was either me or the drama with Maya. He chose me, thank goodness, and we left the expo early. But the trouble didn't end there. The next day, Maya sent me a message apologizing for the accident and wishing us a happy marriage. It was like she was taunting me. I showed my fiancé the message, and he was furious. He sent her a final message telling her to stay out of our lives for good. He blocked her on everything, and we thought that was the end of it. But here's where it gets even crazier. A few days later, one of our mutual friends told us Maya had been spreading rumors about my fiancé, saying he was still in love with her and that our marriage was a sham. I was beyond angry. I confronted the friend, and we had a huge falling out. I couldn't believe they'd entertain such nonsense. My fiancé and I had a long talk, and we decided to cut off anyone who believed Maya's lies. We didn't need that kind of negativity in our lives, especially with our wedding around the corner. It was a tough decision, but it felt right. The wedding week arrived, and despite the drama, it was beautiful. We had our closest friends and family with us, and the love in the room was undeniable. It was a small ceremony, but it was perfect for us. After the wedding, we found out Maya had left town. Good riddance. We started our married life with a clean slate, no ex-flings or toxic friends. It was a rough couple of weeks, but in the end, we came out stronger. Thanks for reading this busy ride. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.